everybody, long time no see. Um, I just want, it's that time. It's February 2nd, and I want to, first of all, I want to thank all my subscribers, all my friend invites, all my people that comment, and all. I mean, my channel has been active for several months, and I still get a lot of questions, and I try to keep up with them and requests. I'm sorry to the people that were asking for seeds and things like that, but if you look back at one of my videos, I lost all my seeds and all that. The good news is that I did find some seeds that I'm so unorganized that I did find some seeds of things that I thought were gone for good. So I found some stuff here and there. And then I got to give a shout out to Paula. She sent me a bunch of stuff, and tomatoes and all kinds of stuff. And I know I put a shout out for, hey, for seeds, and a lot of people responded, and I really appreciate that. Unfortunately, Paul's the only one that really sent me anything, which is cool. Hey, no problem. It's no big deal. What I'm doing now, today, is I'm going to get my earth boxes ready. I'm going ahead and get all my earth boxes filled up. I'm going to get them fertilized. I'm going to fill them with lime, a little bit of lime, because I have so much lime already in them. The amount of lime that they recommend is enough for 2 or 3 seasons. I mean, it's so much lime, it's ridiculous. But I guess they figure if you can, it's like beating a tiny trim nail with a hammer, a sledgehammer, and it doesn't work that way. But second year around, I'm not going to throw that soil out and start over again and get more soil. And I'm using the soil from last year because now it's really well seasoned, it's good and limed. The blossom end rot issue shouldn't be as bad because it's able to get that lime. And here's what I did. I took all my boxes at the end of the season and I just dumped them out in a pile outside behind the house. Okay? And as you can see, I dug up most of the big pile, but that was from 4 earth boxes. And it's got all that root matter and all this stuff in it. But as you can see, it's got particles of lime and fertilizer and stuff all in it. So I think, honestly, I think this is going to be a much better soil this year instead of going and putting new in. I think that's a bad idea because you're starting all over again and you're going to deal with that blossom end rot. I think this stuff will actually do a lot better. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm filling up my earth boxes and getting those ready where they can sit for the next month or 2. So that's another thing with these earth boxes I think a lot of people have problems with, is that they put it all together and put the fertilizer in and all, and then they stick their plant in, that they're not getting the lime they need right off the bat. And they're not going to get the lime for a couple months. So that's a big key. And that's a big key with all of your garden. Like your, if you got raised beds or whatever, go ahead and lime them. Lime them in January, February. Lime them now. Mix that stuff in. Get you some lime, garden lime, not the potent hydrogenated killer lime. I'm talking stuff like espoma or whatever. Get you some good organic lime. Get it in your garden now, and it's not going to hurt. I don't care what zone you're in. Now's the time to go ahead and get it in there. Get it good and mixed in with your soil. I've got all that soil up. Like I said, I dumped all my boxes out. And then I went back here and then shoveled up that pile into my little trailer here. And I'm getting ready to, I'm going to mix it up in my trailer. I'm going to take the old, these are those old socks from last year. They still got some fertilizer and stuff in them. I'm going to mix that in there. But I'm going to add fertilizer because there's, these have been depleted of certain elements, and then there's other things in there that just don't break down quick. So I'm going to add fertilizer to the soil. I'm going to add a little bit of lime, and just try to mix it up as best as I can in my little trailer here. Let me back up. Just one of those little trailers. So I'm going to mix in some fertilizer. I'm going to bust the bags, those old socks open. These old socks. I'm going to bust them open and let that go off in there and mix it in. I'm going to add some extra and maybe a little bit of pour in a little bit of some kelp or seaweed or something, just whatever I got. That's a fertilizer, you know. It may help, it may not, but hey, it ain't gonna hurt, that's for sure. And then I'm gonna fill up my earth boxes, and that way I have my 4 earth boxes, which I've got laid out here. I'm gonna leave them sitting until I'm ready to plant. And the good thing about it is all that stuff in there is going to be kind of working and dissolving. And what you need to do is to go ahead and fill your reservoir and just let it sit. And on occasion, go ahead and put a little more water in if it needs it as it evaporates. So you kind of have your earth boxes going, but without plants, and just kind of get it going. Kind of get your soil working, penetrating, moist. Any lime that you have in there that's needing to kind of dissolve back into the soil is doing that. And then in a month or two, 6 to 8 weeks or so, when it's time to go ahead and start planting, your soil is ready. You know, it's just ready to go. And what I'm going to do different this year that I did from last year is that I put 2 big tomato plants in each box, and it became just this giant wall of tomato jungle, and it was really hard to get in there. The bugs had tons of area to get in there and hide and stuff like that. So what I'm doing this year is what I've just realized from last year is that really, if you're growing a full-size tomato, say like a Brandywine or something like that, 1 tomato per box. And then I'm going to take the little area, I'm going to plant it in the middle of the box, and then the area around that tomato along the base of it, I'm going to put in some other plants. I'm going to put a little in marigolds in there, which deter bugs, but also draw good bugs. So I'm going to put a little marigold here and there along the base. I might put in some other little plants, but to be honest, 2 large plants per box is too much. And I know I did that last year, and I had a lot of tomatoes. But the reason I did that was because I'm big on trying out all types of tomatoes, and I like to see what grows well here and what produces well. Well, it was kind of too much. They were overcrowding each other. I underestimated how big they would get out of these earth boxes. So if you're growing tomatoes in earth boxes, I would suggest 1 full-size tomato per box, and then you've got all that area around that tomato to grow little other things, lettuce, or I mean, you can grow just about any little thing that's not a deep-rooting plant. And always throw you a little bit of marigold here and there. Just buy a pack of seeds of marigold, put them around the base of it a little bit, and that really helps against those aphids and stuff like that. And so that's what I'm doing. Is add I'm still going to put the fertilizer sock in there in the earth box, but I'm going to add a little bit of fertilizer in the soil, and this is what I use, Garden Tone. This stuff is awesome. It's got everything in it. It's got more than you need for an earth box, actually. It's overkill for an earth box because it's got biotone, it's got things that, you know, that you really need for an actual earth, you know, raised bed or something like that. But I'll put 3 good handfuls in there, and that's it. Just to get some stuff in the soil. And remember, this is organic. It's not going to burn your plant up. Okay. And then here's the lime I use. I use the Estoma garden lime. There's probably a 1/6 or 1/5 or 1/6 of a bag. That's all I'm going to use for all 4 earth boxes. Okay. Like I said, the amount that I put in last year, I put in the amount that they suggest, and that's more lime than you could ever use. I don't care what you're growing. Nothing can use that amount of lime. I don't know why they suggest so much, but that's it. This is going to be some killer soil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep mixing this. I've got my fertilizer. I put a little bit of fertilizer in the soil. I put my lime, and it's only just like, you've seen that small bag. It's only like a fourth of it at the most, because it's already got so much lime. All I used had some lime in it already anyway. It's potting soil, or potting mix. It's not even potting soil, it's potting mix. That's another important thing. Make sure you use potting mix in your girth boxes, not potting soil. You want this stuff to drain as much as possible. Basically what you have, it's closer to a hydroponic system than it is an actual pot of the potting soil. You want something that just essentially holds fertilizer, holds some lime, and then just drains. And it just drains and drains and drains, and then you've got your fertilizer sock in there, which keeps adding nutrients. So you're not trying to grow a biologically diverse soil or anything like that. You basically just want a medium that holds your roots, provides water, provides nutrients, provides lime, blah blah blah, and that's it. You're not trying to, you know, I've had people email me and say, shouldn't I put compost? No, do not put compost in here. You're growing in a sealed container. Compost creates, you know, it's part of that soil web situation in the garden or a raised bed. You're growing inside a sealed pot. You don't want compost in there. It's not doing you any good. Plus, compost holds so much water. It'll hold too much water. Your roots won't like that because it'll stay so moist all the time, you know. So it's a whole different world in these earth boxes. You're basically creating an environment that drains as best as possible, but is full of nutrients and stuff because it's constantly flushing, and as you water, the plant's taking it up, it's taking up nutrients and all that, but it has nothing to do with actual growing like in a raised bed or in a garden where you're trying to build up a rich organic soil with compost and all that. That's not what you want to do with a earth box. With an earth box, you're almost, like I said, you're closer to growing in a hydroponic situation where you're providing the nutrients. You're providing the lime. You're providing adjusting the pH. You're the one that's watering it. It's just those roots are down in there and they're taking in what's available, and the soil is not live and growing and providing and doing all these things. So that's the big problem that a lot of people have. They think that they're trying to put, you know, they figure if they put a bunch of compost, well, you're doing the wrong thing for an enclosed container, you know, that you're providing the water and fertilizer and everything for. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. I don't mean to be real preachy, but hopefully maybe this kind of gets some people say, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. And if that does it for a few people, hey, great, I've done my job. I'm going to go ahead and fill my boxes up, and I'm not going to fill them all real high. I'm just going to fill them even with the top. God, I wish you guys could smell this. I just love the smell of stinky, rich soil. You got to be a garden head to like that smell. But, oh, it's so rich and just nice smelling. I love it. I just want to take my hands and just bury in it, and just, ugh, I love it. Now, as you'll notice, I'm just laying it down there nice and light. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make my trough. Make the trough here for my fertilizer. There's several ways you can do it. You can lay strips, you can make a circle. Depends on what you're planning. There's really no wrong way. You just, but typically, say if like you're growing, like I did last year, I had a tomato plant here and here. The way these boxes work is that you fill them here, you fill them up, and back in here is two little tunnels. Okay, there's two little tunnels in the back of this box. They go all the way down. There's two little openings in that bottom grate that go all the way down to the bottom of the tray. Okay. So right here, opposite the side of the fill tube, on the opposite side, there's in each corner is an opening that goes all the way down into the reservoir. So what you want to do, now this is really crucial with these earth boxes, you want to pack that soil down in those two corners. All the way down it goes all the way down into that water trough. The rest of it's covered, but there's two openings, cutouts. So what you're doing basically is you're creating a solid, thick column in each corner. Okay. Okay, and then you want to put more soil in. All right. And I mean really pack it down as tight as you can with your fist. The opening is about the size of your fist, but you want to pack those two corners. Okay, just like that. Pack it down here and here, and it creates a solid trough. And that water, that is where that water is gonna come up into the box. Okay. A little bit more. Don't be shy. Don't be shy with the soil. Okay? Alright? One more time. Pack that corner. Pack that corner. There's been a lot of people have emailed our earthbox and been on the forum and all that and say it's not getting the water, it's dry. The reason, a lot of cases, the reason is because you didn't pack. You didn't create that column of solid packed soil going through your earth box. That's what absorbs that moisture. And what happens is it absorbs, if you got everything right, it absorbs that moisture on this side of the box. And then that moisture flows across the box and then back down. So you always want to put your fertilizer, if you say like you have two tomatoes here, or you have different plants kind of here, you always want your fertilizer strip on this side, over here, on the box. Because the reason being is because that water will come up, the moisture. It'll flow this way across the box and then back down. So that's where you want your fertilizer. You want your fertilizer, you want to wet your fertilizer and for it to draw it down into the chamber and then come back up. If you were to put your fertilizer strip here on the side of where your water chamber is, take too much fertilizer and push and dissolve and over fertilize the plants, and they don't like it. The roots, it'll burn them. You don't want them here. okay, before that water travels across and through to the plant. What you want is, I'll repeat it, I know I'm being repetitive, but you want your fertilizer on the other side of the plant from where your water's coming up and flowing across. Okay, so your water will flow across. It'll get that fertilizer and kind of that, you know, stuff that you got planted, your fertilizer strip, your heavy fertilizer. It'll draw that down into the water trough. Then, in a more diluted solution, we'll bring it across through to your plant, and it'll enjoy it so much better. You put it over here, and it's going to be much stronger and harsher going towards your plant. So, and I've seen a lot of people do that, and it won't kill your plant, especially if you're using organic fertilizers. You know, most organic fertilizers, you can hit them pretty hard, plants pretty hard with that stuff, and it won't burn them up too much or hurt them as much. But if you're using anything else, you definitely want on the other side of the plant, not where that water's coming up, soaking through, traveling across, going down. It's kind of like a circular flow. You want your fertilizer on the back side of your plants and flowing back around and through, if that makes any sense. All right, and it does. It does. Believe it or not, it does. It does make a difference. And that's kind of a basic grade school way of looking at it, but that's how it works. So when you're setting up your boxes, keep that in mind. Know where to put your fertilizer. Try to put your fertilizer at the same, where your tube is, your fill tube area. Put your plants on the other side, okay? It will make a difference, especially depending on what fertilizer you use. And that's why I said you can use triple 13 or really harsh, heavy fertilizers, but be careful, especially be careful with those kind of fertilizers, that you put the fertilizer on the other side of the flow of the box, not right direct in front of the plant, and pushing all that heavy fertilizer right there into the roots of the plant. But anyway, we'll stop there. I'll show some more when I get a little further along, I guess. And thanks for watching.